Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Generation Wrestling Podcast. I am the host of the franchise. Normally, I would have my co-host King Two Code. He's not able to be with us today, but have no fear because we got a special guest. She is the quintessential diva, Giselle Shaw. Giselle, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. How are you today, franchise?
I am good. I am good. A little tired, but can't complain.
That's all
So,
right.
I want to get right into it. Recently, we just had the Impact Emergence PPV. Lots of great matches from top to bottom. Two matches I want to talk to you specifically about. We had new Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions crowned at VXT. They put on a hell of a match with Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. We also had Jordynne Grace retain her Impact Knockouts Championship in the Barn Burner with Mia Yim. So, double loaded question. What did you think of those two matches? And what's next for Giselle Shaw in the Knockouts division?
I think they were so incredible. We do watch the matches backstage, and support all the matches and everyone.
Yes.
And I think the women just killed it that night, and I'm so happy for them. New Knockouts World Tag Team Champions. Um, I've said before that Chelsea and Deanna are a force to be reckoned with
Yes.
individually, and now that they've combined, they like look at everyone. And Jordan Grace and Mia Yim, I love them so much. Mia Yim is one of my besties. Young Empire.
Gotta plug it.
Yeah, and Jordan, Jordan, like you don't mess with Jordan. I mean, look at her. And
Powerhouse. I wouldn't do
and oh, I'm sorry, I totally forgot. That escaped my another question that you asked is what's next for me. What's next for me is whoever's holding the Knockouts World Tag Team Champions or the Knockouts World Championship. So, hey,
Okay.
if whoever's holding it, I'm putting you on notice.
So it's safe to say you're going for all the gold. Well, speaking of the knockout division, we've recently had Killer Kelly. She made her debut not long ago, long awaited. What are your thoughts on Killer Kelly? And is she someone you would like to face soon or maybe tag team with?
So I love Killer Kelly. She and I actually met in the UK scene. We've wrestled once before in a four-way match, and we have the chemistry, and we have been waiting for a singles match or maybe a tag team match one day. I'm so happy that she's in Impact Wrestling, and I just want her to do well. And I'm just so happy for her.
Speaking of the UK scene, you mentioned you wrestle in the UK scene now. Of course, you're here in the States with Impact Wrestling. For someone who isn't familiar, as a wrestler yourself, describe the difference in atmosphere between the UK crowds and, of course, here in the States.
So the UK scene fans, they're incredible. I think it's because they have that football, soccer
Yeah,
background. So they take that into the wrestling
right, right.
and they sing your name. And when I first got there, it was, I noticed that immediately and I go, oh, that's how if they hate you or love you.
Uh,
And that was one of my goals. And then when they started, singing my name, I was like, man, like I have made it. Like this is so cool. Uh, Here in North America, it's very different. They're very vocal.
yeah.
They'll cheer you, they'll boo you, they won't sing your name, but but everyone is without the fans. We won't be here, and I love them all, and I'm just happy that that they're so on board taking this roller coaster ride with us.
Now, talking about your time at Impact, was it you that reached out to them or was it them that reached out to you? And what was that first initial interaction like?
Right. So when I actually started with Impact 2018, that's when they gave me my first opportunity. I I think I wrestled 3, 4 matches, and at the time there was no opportunities for me to be full time with Impact Wrestling. So that's when I thought if there are no opportunities, create one, and
Yes,
that's when I went to the UK. Hopefully, I made an impact there.
absolutely.
That they wanted to keep me around, and I did. I was very happy with that. I didn't really know that whatever I was doing in the UK also, everyone saw here in North America. So I was
Yes.
very surprised when Impact Wrestling came to me first and they asked if I was interested in signing. But at the time, I didn't really feel like I was ready. I
Yes.
didn't, yeah, I didn't feel like I accomplished everything that I needed to accomplish at the time. So when I reached, the pinnacle of rest, I thought to myself, where do I go? And it just so happened that, Impact Wrestling came back and they go, hey, how are you feeling? Just checking in on you. And that's when, I had that feeling inside me thinking, you know what, this is the time to do it. And here we are.
You talk about the impact that you funny. You talk about the impact that you had over in the UK scene and it transferring over here, and you not knowing that people were aware. How important as an up and coming wrestler now in this day and age of social media is it for one to brand themselves because you truly do not know who's watching you from across the world.
Hmm. I think it's super important. When I went to the UK, I didn't really think that it was going to be shown here as well in North America.
Yeah,
And I just focused on. I didn't really think like what's out there. I just kind of focused on what I'm doing and be present. And I was fortunate enough that people were actually watching and paying attention.
yes, yes. Another thing I want to talk to you about, we spoke before we got on the air, making an impact. You've been supported tremendously by Impact. You recently came out earlier, I want to say in June, as being a transgender. And I want to ask you, what was the thought process? Was it something where you woke up that morning, hey, I'm going to do this? Or was it, you know what? It was kind of spur of the moment. I want to put this out there. It's important. We talk about representation. We're talking about visibility. Shout out to you for being one of those main factors in doing that and not just saying it. What was the thought process like immediately before you made that announcement?
So there was when I first actually thought about it, I was here in Dallas during WrestleMania week.
Okay.
I attended that WrestleMania event where we auctioned off, dresses that were important to us.
Yes.
Um, so, I went to the party. We told stories, and I told a story that was a bit personal, growing up, where I had a rough time growing up because I just didn't really fit in. Um, and then I met this transgender woman uh, at the event, and she came up to me, and she was, I think she just wanted to share her story
Yeah.
and told me that she could relate. And at that time, I didn't really like I wasn't out,
Hmm.
so I all I wanted to do was not have a conversation with her, or just thinking to myself like, oh my god, like does she know, like this is my workplace, and I freaked out and I panicked and I just felt like I just dismissed her, uh,
Right.
and I felt really crappy about that. I went home and I thought to myself, I have looked up to these women that inspired people, educated people, and raised awareness. And I had that opportunity and I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So, I sat and thought about it, and I just decided, this is the time to do this. Everyone has a different journey, obviously.
Yes.
So I can't. No one can tell me, or no, I can't tell anyone. Like you need to be out. You need to do this,
Right.
you need to do that, because I needed to be. I needed to feel confident and at peace with myself that it was the right time.
Hmm.
And I've been just so fortunate that I told Impact Wrestling, hey, I want to be able to do that, to inspire, to educate people and to raise awareness and use my platform, for good. And they have just been so supportive. And I can't even believe it that, from management to admin to the locker room to production, like everybody has just been so supportive, and the fans especially,
Yeah.
I was so scared because wrestling, is
Yeah.
wrestling is fine.
Toxic.
And I didn't know how people were going to take it. Um, but it was, the most important thing was living my life authentically, and just be happy, because if I was happy with myself, then I'm able to go up there and put out a good product, and just be comfortable with it.
Speaking of being comfortable, the quintessential diva. Another double loaded question for you. You took the word diva and something that wrestling fans,
Mm,
you kind of turn your nose up at because you think of a specific era and a specific company. You've
yeah.
taken that and you put empowerment behind that word. Was that something you done intentionally, or how did you come up with the quintessential diva to describe yourself?
Right. So I came up with the quintessential diva because when I think quintessential diva, I think of someone who's intelligent, who is, um, confident, beautiful, independent,
Yes,
strong woman. And it was so unfortunate that at the time, like, I grew up with the divas and the
yes,
knockouts,
yes,
and it has such a bad connotation because if you were a diva, all you did was bra and panties and stuff, and pillow fights and whatnot. But where I come from, it's someone who's beautiful, strong, confident, independent. So
yes.
I wanted to um, take that and say, what, like, that's a good thing, and it's not a bad thing. Someone put a bad connotation to it, and I think it's time to take that back and say, what, I can do all these things.
August 26th through the 27th, you guys are in Dallas at the Factory in Deep Ellum. Okay, now my question to you would be: when you go to Dallas, is there a favorite spot you go visit? Do you have a favorite food spot you have to hit when you're in Dallas? Talk to us. What are your thoughts? What does Giselle Shaw think of Dallas?
I love Dallas. So Dallas has a special place in my heart because the first time that I ever, that I was brought in by Impact Wrestling was actually here in Dallas. So this is my first time that I, as a knockout,
Yes.
came to Hard to Kill, and then coming here for WrestleMania week, which was my first WrestleMania week, and to be a part of that was super special. And to do a media tour here in Dallas as well. Again, it's like the universe is telling me something about Dallas. I don't know what that is yet, but it is very special to me.
Speaking of Hard to Kill, me and my co-host, we were there in January, and we were there for the Women's Ultimate X match, and the whole card from top to bottom was amazing. But I want to talk to you about the consistency of Impact Wrestling.
Mhm.
Impact is a little bit smaller in terms of production value and stuff like that, but I honestly feel, from a non-biased standpoint, I feel
Mhm.
like consistently from top to bottom, men and women storyline, wrestling, in ring product, you guys have had as a consistent of a year a wrestling company can have. You personally, what are your goals for continuing the elevation of Impact Wrestling?
Well, like I said before, my goals is to either be a Knockouts World Tag Team Champion or a Knockouts World Champion. I don't know when that's going to happen, but you know what? I have that as my goal. Uh, I'm just, I'm super excited to be a part of the Knockouts division. I really do feel like we put out a good product out there. Everyone looks so different, and everyone has something to offer that's different and just makes the Knockouts division so strong. And it's just gonna get better from here, and I can't wait.
I know you're in the business now, but was wrestling always something you were into, or was it something you kind of fell into?
So I've watched wrestling all my life since I was a kid. My family actually watched that with me, especially my grandmother. And when I was young, she actually got sick. So this is a special connection for me, wrestling wise.
Yes.
And I hope that she is looking down at me. Look, I don't know why I keep saying looking down at me, but looking, is it looking down at me or looking at me?
You
From
know what? Whatever you want to say, we're gonna go.
yeah, and, yeah, but hopefully she's proud, and I am doing her proud.
So growing up as a fan now, and you and I, we talked about this a few minutes ago. Wrestling fans is a very unique crowd of people, right? Here today, going tomorrow, for you, not for you. For people, there's so much wrestling out there. For people who are toxic online, who want to dismiss what certain companies are doing because they're not quote unquote that one company, what do you have to say to those fans about giving Impact or any of the other shows a chance and to try?
I mean, I really feel like everyone has their own opinion, and they're entitled to their own opinion. I can't tell them and say, well, you know what, like, this is, I just, like, I'm allowed to disagree to it, but like, that's their opinion. It doesn't affect me.
Yes.
Personally, if they think that a certain brand is better, or if they think that Impact Wrestling is much better, I do feel like we put out a great product out there, and that's not me being biased, whether it's storyline or talent. I think the whole locker room just gives it their best, and we just want everyone to do well, and I feel like that's what we need to focus on. Is that I feel like we're just a positive locker room, and we just want everyone to be a success story.
Speaking of the whole locker room, if you could form a mixed tag team with any of the male superstars, who would it be and why?
A mixed tag team, like with me.
Yes.
Ooh, I would have to say Josh Alexander.
Ah.
Yeah, Team Canada. Wait, what? I really feel like there was no female representation at that time, and I hope that if that does happen, you know, I think I'm the only Canadian knockout right now. So who better to do it? And I think that it would be a nice homage to what Team Canada was.
Speaking of being Canadian, Canadians have a strong place in the wrestling world throughout history. What is it about the Canadian wrestling scene that you think endears not only you guys to the Canadians and fans around the world, but to the American fans specifically?
Um, you know what? I'm still asking. I did ask this question a lot. I'm still trying to figure that out, but maybe it's the water. I don't know, or maybe it's the maple syrup. I'm not really quite sure.
Okay, so you guys, like I said, August 26th through the 27th, you're going to be in Dallas. Um, for people who don't know about the Factory and the Deep element, describe that atmosphere. You said that's where you first made, your debut as an official knockout there in Impact. Describe just the feeling of that venue because it's a very unique venue.
Yeah, it's super unique. It's almost like rustic, urban. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, and the set, obviously makes it. It just looks like a freaking million bucks.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So and when the crowd is there and they're just so loud, it's just like this atmosphere that's just it's electric.
Yes.
And I feel like you really need to be there to experience this, and I hope that people do come and fill that building up.
Well, speaking of getting there and filling the building up, how can people watch it? Where can they buy tickets?
So they can buy tickets at impactwrestling.com or Ticketmaster. And I think this will be on Fight TV.
Yes.
Yes. So, but yeah, I hope that everybody comes, experience it. Even if this is your first time, it's just gonna make you fall in love with wrestling. And I seriously can guarantee that Impact Wrestling is the best out there right now. And I really do hope people come.
Giselle, I know our time's coming. We got two final questions for you. One of two. If you could fight anybody, any company, any division, who would it be? Who does Giselle Shaw have her eyes on, whether it's inside of Impact or outside of Impact?
I would have to say, ooh, this is a tough one. You know, um, I feel like Jordan Grace. Yeah, Jordan Grace. I think she and I would make magic, and I think she's very tough. And she is so she's got like so many accolades, and she's been so successful that I would want to challenge someone and test myself if I could keep up, which I know that I can keep up. So watch out, girl.
And the last thing for all the fans that's going to watch this and see this, how can they find you and interact with you on social media?
Right. So I am on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Giselle Shaw 08.
All right. Now, Giselle, we're going to get ready to get out of here. Just hang out for 1 second after we get off. I want to talk to you really quick. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Generation of Wrestling Podcast. Giselle Shaw, the quintessential diva, thank you for taking the time to join me. And until next time, we'll talk to you later, guys.
Thank you. Take care.